So this is the enclosure for a prototype that I was making. Here's isometric view. Not sure what view this is. I'm guessing side view, top view, another side view. This is for, I believe, the SD card. I'm just gonna go over the details a little bit in case you're interested. My plan was to 3D print this and have, let's see, I'll just remove, okay. So I would stick the PCB in here, and here's the USB plug to charge it. And there would be holes to screw stuff in. Now I think I removed the part here, so it's just not, let's see, maybe I don't know where I put it. This was a battery. Okay, yeah, so there's a battery here. Oh yeah, it's a hole for the PCB, I'm silly. Yeah, so my PCB goes here, and the PCB at the corners has little holes for screws. So I was gonna put like a screw base, like to hold a screw in, and have like a push-in screw or something. There's a few ways to do this, I think, but yeah, basically I was just gonna screw everything in place, and these are all the layers that I need. I'm definitely not a skilled mechanical engineer, but I did, you know, what I could with what I learned. So yeah, that's basically it. You put the PCB in, and then I made a few, let's see, yeah. So the PCB itself has like a few constraints that I had to like build around. It's a prototype board for Cortex M4 chip, and it has stuff like SD card, USB, has a lot of GPIO pins, and it's part of like, there was this article basically that I stumbled upon that was including this board and a heart rate sensor board and a few other components that were useful to me that I wanted to put in the prototype. So I went ahead and designed an enclosure based on all of the, this is the heart rate sensor, all of the pieces that I wanted. So this is also a prototype board, and it would have been connected through, I believe I have, so here would be on the skin, and here would be a hole to access the debug functionality, and then there's the battery. And this wall here, I'll remove the top, fits like that. There's little holes here you could see, maybe, I mean, these are holes for wires to go through. And if I put like this separator, the separator lets the wires go through as well. So yeah, I connect the holes there, and then there's the battery here, which I don't think is supposed to go through. I think it's probably a mistake, but yeah, because it's not even here, but I think it's supposed to be, but maybe not actually. I think actually it's fine. But there's also holes here to connect to the power pins, which were on this side of the reference board. So this is basically what it looks like with the top on like this, and with the middle part. And in total, this looks pretty thick, but let's see if I can measure the distance here from this corner to that corner. It's only 1.5 millimeters, even less, 14 millimeters. So it's not like too thick. It's definitely something that I could like wear. And my goal was to just basically have this printed out and order the pieces and screw them in, or I mean, I was probably gonna fail a couple times between then and there. So yeah, anyways, I wanted to just like wire it up and make it work and have it record my heart rate data so that I could have training data for my machine learning model. So I was planning to do the training eventually on device, and also the inference on device, but before I could develop that, I would have needed more training data to like mess with the neural network structure to see like what sort of layers I needed. If I even needed layers, could I just use like a simpler model? And my assumptions were based on a few research papers, mainly one from, I think it was a university in Michigan, where they basically did exactly this, but with an Apple Watch, which is kind of like what I should have done here, but it's just for my needs. I needed something low power that could last for a long time. That I wasn't really bound to like charging it very often, and the Apple Watch and other smartwatches are pretty power hungry in general. Whereas with this, I could control like the whole device to make it more power efficient as well, and I wouldn't have all the extra Chrome that I don't really need for the function that I needed it for, which is just calculating sleep um, and waking me up on time. So basically, the idea is um, there are various experiments with sleep schedules that exist out there, and they're typically pretty hard to implement because you need to change your lifestyle like pretty drastically, and it's also very hard to hack your sleep sometimes. You need to be kind of a little bit crazy to try and do that. Um, but yeah, so anyways, I decided to work on it and I got pretty far. I'm confident that if I were to keep working on this, I would eventually succeed because it's at this point not too complicated to understand for me. So, like, I know the basic steps I need to do. I would say the next step, if I were to continue this, other than obviously getting this printed and ordering the parts and wiring it up and testing and debugging, would be to figure out a proper software architecture for my product. So the main concern is I'm not sure if I need like an operating system or not, if I can just have like actual code run. My guess is that it would be way easier with an operating system, but those tend to be pretty confusing and they're hard to develop with open source tooling. I found it very, very hard to find proper tooling for operating system and like like extremely low level software design. It was very hard. Basically, you're restrained to a few prototype boards for this processor, and like a lot of the IP cores would be like hard to find, and they might be restrained to like a specific type of operating system. Anyways, it definitely seemed like a lot of trouble, but definitely something that I'd be interested in doing. And I just stopped working on it because I think I'm not sure, honestly. I can tell you off the top of my head. I probably tried to work on some other project or started trying to get hired, and more recently I've actually been working. So, but this is definitely like one of the projects that I put the most time into, and the one that I enjoy doing the most because I learned so much about things that I really had no idea about. And for the first time, really, I used academic research, so papers and studies, to guide my work, and it's something that I really enjoyed doing and didn't really expect to be doing. This mainly came from, actually, I did a course on Coursera for machine learning, and I was Googling about sleep schedules and stuff and watching videos on it, and I was generally interested, and I thought, if I wanted to try this, my best option was an alarm, an alarm system on the phone. So those are really bad because if you're trying to take, say, a 20-minute nap, which is what the Uberman schedule is, it's very, very hard to transition into because you're rarely gonna have an accurate enough prediction pre-sleep of when you're gonna fall asleep. So it's just harder to transition. So I thought that this could be like a tool worth exploring and developing and testing with, and then eventually the software could be used in a more refined product. So yeah, that's basically the entirety of this project, just laid out in a 10-minute video. Yeah, if you like it, just yeah, I don't know. Video outros for a demo project that I'm not too sure how to do, you know. Anyways, yeah, that's it.